How's everyone doing today? Madden Reviews here. Like I said, top 10 best films of 2013. These are the 10 films that took me out of the theater and into the world that these filmmakers were trying to depict. These 10 are the elite, in my opinion. You have your own. In fact, what are your top 10 films from yesteryear 2013? Let me know down below. Anyway, let's get started here. At number 10, Frozen. In my opinion, this whole Disney/Pixar whole thing has been kind of going on a slow decline in terms of content. But this is a film that really brings it back to the old school Disney, the ones that I remember from whenever I was a kid. Old school, whenever they were really mainly musicals. Like, really, that's what they were, animated musicals. Like, every 10 or so minutes, they'd break out into song and depict the current emotion or theme that they were trying to do through song. And it really worked because it was entertaining, and this film is very entertaining. Let me tell you, everybody does so good in their roles, everybody sings really well, some of the tracks are really well done. This film is overall a great adventure that I recommend for the entire family. Number 9 is a little film that I just saw here recently, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. The reviews for this thing have really been split down the middle. Like, the last time I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, it was a 50%. That's directly down the middle. But I was one of those people that really loved this movie. I really like awkward comedy dramas. I don't know. The situations that Walter gets in are hilarious, and the way that he reacts to these situations are even better. Ben Stiller really knows how to depict a character on screen, and also how to direct a picture. He really knows what he's doing behind the camera. And for that, Walter Mitty gets number 9 on my list. Check it out, if you're into that kind of thing, like I am. Number 8 is an intense film starring Tom Hanks, Captain Phillips. This was based on the whole ordeal with the Somalian pirates that hijacked a ship. Yeah, this is what this is about. And this is one of those films where I was like, wow, Tom Hanks can act. Because you really forget about that, considering all the films that he's been in as of late have been kind of disappointing. But the film that he's been in this year, along this one and Mr. Banks, Saving Mr. Banks, have been really good. These are the ones where I'm like, that's not Tom Hanks, that's Captain Phillips. That's exactly who that is. And you believe it all the way through. This film is intense, it's engrossing. I think the side characters could have been a little bit more developed, so I could have cared about them more, but other than that, this film is intense. If you're into intense movies, definitely check this one out. Number 7 is a horror movie that took me by surprise. I'm a fan of the horror genre, but this one was getting really hyped up, and I didn't think that I'd like it as much. But I did. It's right there behind me, The Conjuring. The Conjuring scared the daylights out of me. I couldn't sleep sometimes because I thought that Bathsheba was hiding underneath my bed. You'll figure out who Bathsheba is if you watch the film. And this film really has some old school hefty scares in it. James Wan knows how to put atmosphere in a horror film, which is something that is absent from a lot of them as of late, and I'm glad he's bringing that back. This film is dark, it is excellently acted, and the scares are real scares for once. They're not just something just popping out in front of the screen going boo and then going away, like a lot of films do this year, and it's really unfortunate. But The Conjuring does it wonderfully. Highly recommend. Number 6 is a little hour-and-a-half venture into space. Sounds really fun, but it's not. This is one of the most intense movies I've ever sat through. Gravity, starring Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. This film is so quietly intense. Like, sometimes you don't hear anything. Things will be exploding and flying around really slowly in space, like you know how they do because of zero gravity and all that stuff. It's so cool, but it's so terrifying because you just can't hear it, but you can see all this crap happening, and somebody's just freaking out. And you're really there inside that spacesuit, not like inside it with Sandra Bullock, but you're somebody else over there with her, because that'd be kind of weird. But anyway, this film is really intense. Sandra Bullock gives one of the best performances she's ever given in one of the most intense films of the year. Number 5, we have a little independent film that I picked up from Walmart, Scenic Route. This film is a great, I want to say survival film, but I don't know if that would be the appropriate thing, because really it kind of is. These guys break down, and they're trying to break down in the desert, and they're trying to survive. And they really start getting into each other's heads, and they start poking at each other's psyches, insulting each other, and you know one of them's gonna break at some point and just completely snap, but you don't know when, and that's what really grabbed me and pulled me into this movie, is the performances. The performances by the main actors are completely fantastic and totally believable. These two guys you could pick out of a crowd any day, and you know exactly who they are. You've probably got a couple friends that are exactly these kind of people, and that's really one thing about this movie that I like, is that I can relate to some of the aspects of the characters. A lot of characters in movies today are not relatable, but these are, and it's awesome. And the back and forth is sometimes funny, but then it gets really visceral. This film is definitely worth checking out. Go buy Scenic Route. I got it for like $13 at Walmart. It's crazy. Go check it out. Number 4 is also behind me. This is like Power Rangers, Godzilla, and Transformers on steroids. Pacific Rim deserves to be in my top 5. This film blew me away. This is some of the best CGI I have ever seen in a film ever. Every other scene I was like, wow, that's awesome. And surely enough, the next scene, wow, that's awesome. Next scene, whoa, that is really awesome. This movie is awesome. I know a lot of people are going to be like, wow, way to put a really cliche action movie on your list. Shut up. Pacific Rim is great. I have never been more thrilled and just on the edge of my seat with my popcorn just munching away and watching it in awe as these monsters and robots just completely duke it out in slow motion, just friggin'. It's so slow, the fights are, but they're so dynamic and epically scaled that I can't help but to watch this movie about 4 times. That's about how many times I've watched it. It's ridiculous, but I can't get tired of it. Number 3, we're going on a serious route again with a foreign film that first debuted overseas last year. The Hunt, starring Mads Mikkelsen. I got familiar with Mads Mikkelsen and his work whenever he starred in Hannibal. Big Hannibal fanboy right here. Hannibal Lecter as a whole is one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character in cinema and TV history. This guy kills it as that, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about this movie. This is one of the most frustrating movies I've ever sat through, but it's so worth every second. This film is intense. It'll make you so angry for this character because these people are so completely out of their head and stupid, and it's this film is so frustrating. I'm getting frustrated and shaken up just talking about it, but it's so good. The performances are phenomenal in this movie. Check out The Hunt if you have not seen The Hunt already. In fact, pause this video right now, take 2 hours, and watch The Hunt right now. It's worth it. If you don't mind reading subtitles, of course, if you're American like me. Number 2 is the second film in a new Middle-earth trilogy. Huge Middle-earth fanboy here. I own all the Lord of the Rings books. I own the Hobbit movies. I own the Hobbit movie, the first one, and the book. And the Lord of the Rings happen to be my favorite movies of all time. The first Hobbit could have been better, so could this one, but this one is on such a bigger scale of just epic joy. You really get just pulled back into Middle-earth again, and you can't be more happy that you're there, because Middle-earth, especially in this movie, has never been more magical. Like in Lord of the Rings, it's really dark, but The Hobbit brings this magic to Middle-earth. Because you could see all sorts of different interactions with different races and different types of people that you didn't get to see. And don't get me started on Smaug. Smaug is on a whole different level of epic that I don't think you'll understand until you see this movie for yourself. This has some of the most awesome scenes in a film that I've seen all year. Barrel scene looks cheesy whenever you see a poster for it, but don't judge that book by its cover. That is one of the best scenes in the entire movie. It's so exciting. This movie is great. Go watch The Hobbit. Number one. Drum roll, please. Okay, never mind. Number one. Prisoners. This is one of the most intense and enthralling. I've never been more intrigued and completely delved into a film as much as I have Prisoners. I watched it a couple days ago, and this film is absolutely phenomenal. If Hugh Jackman does not get nominated for an Oscar for his performance in this movie, if any of these actors don't get nominated for an Oscar for their performances in this movie, I will be completely shocked. No, it's the Academy. I won't be shocked. But anyway, everybody just completely kills their roles in this movie. And the story takes so many twists and turns that you don't even ever see coming. Or at least for me, I never saw any of that coming. And it's just such an intense movie that I was sitting, like I was laying down whenever I first started watching this movie. I was like, alright, I know what I'm getting myself into here. No, I did not. I was sitting up straight. I didn't even touch my popcorn until before and after the movie. Didn't touch it at all during the movie. I didn't care about my popcorn that I just buttered myself with this popping oil I just bought. I wanted to know what happened to those two little girls. This movie is so involving, and it makes you think about what would happen if you were ever in a situation like that. Honestly, I don't want to. Everybody's so great. Hugh Jackman, great. Jake Gyllenhaal, this really reserved role with little bouts of rage and emotion that completely perfect his character. Everybody's just great. The direction is great. The cinematography, dark and gritty. I can't give this movie enough praise because it's just good. Prisoners is my number one. Prisoners is my number one. You don't want to know how long it took me to find this on DVD. I had to go 3 stores to find this on DVD. It's ridiculous. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, let me know what your top 10 films of 2013 are down below. I'm probably going to make a most anticipated list of 2014 as well. That'll be something that I do eventually. Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. I have a Twitter because I'm a social media guy. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is Matt Inman Reviews, signing off.